Sit. Franklin, sit. Good boy. He's a good boy.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited that we're dog sitting this week.
Me too. He's so cute. Hi, buddy. How would you wear your jeans, Franklin? Huh? How would you wear them? Have you seen that meme where it's like with the dogs wear their pants on all four legs or like just the back two legs?
No, I've never seen a meme. You need to show me said meme.
How would you wear your mom jeans, bud? Huh?
Speaking of mom jeans and buds.
And puppy love.
And puppy love. Wow. We're really excited to share an interview this week because we got to interview Eric from Mom Jeans.
Yes, one of our absolute favorite bands. I got to talk to him all about Best Buds as well as their new record, Puppy Love, which is out now, and you guys should go listen to it because it's pretty friggin' rad.
Agreed. And we hope you enjoy the interview.
Off my cell phone, I'm going off the grid, which for me is eating Cheetos in my bed, watching movies and drinking chocolate milk.
Thanks for letting us call you. We're so stoked.
Oh, cool.
So to start us off, do you kind of just want to talk about what first sparked your interest in music?
Sure. I mean, I've always been interested in music ever since I was a little kid. Like, my mom put me in piano lessons when I was, like, 6 or something like that. I took guitar lessons when I was really, really young. But, I don't know, like, I tend to jump, like, between interests really, really quickly. So I didn't necessarily, like, stick with any one instrument for any, like, long period of time as a kid. But, like, I don't know, both of my parents were really, like, into music. Like, my dad was really into classic rock, and my mom is just like a very like musical person, like very artistic person. So I don't know, like I've always been interested in it. And then I did like I moved to California in like 5th grade and did like the band program like starting in grade 5, and then I did all that through like middle school and high school and college and everything. I've been playing trombone since I was like a 5th grader. So I don't know. That's like where like my musical basis is kind of like started. I don't know. Like I was just like a textbook band kid. Like I was in marching band in high school, and I was in marching band in college and stuff. And then I don't know. Like I guess like towards the end of high school, like right when I was leaving to go to like my first year of university, I started listening to like different types of music than I'd been listening to. Like I'd been listening to nothing but like ska and jazz music for like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years. And then I started listening to like Joyce Manor and modern baseball.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, guitar music is cool too. And then I like bought myself like an actual guitar and like a really shitty amp and stuff, and like started learning how to play. And like that's where I met Austin, was that first year of college.
I mean, it's good too because it sounds like you had your hand in a bunch of different instruments. So then when it comes So when it comes together to like making a band and making a cohesive sound, you're already way more attuned to everything that goes into it, not just the guitar or just the drums or just the bass or something.
Yeah, I guess maybe, yeah. That probably helps. I mean, like, all the rest of us, too, like, everybody in Mom Jeans now, like, all of us were in, like, band and orchestra in high school and stuff like that, so all this definitely, and we were all in, like, bands in high school and stuff like that, so everybody's definitely, like, used to, like, being in a band and stuff, like, before we all met each other.
It's funny, so many people that we ask that question, their musical love started with that program where you're forced to choose an instrument in 4th grade. It's so fun. It like actually works.
I only played trombone because like our teacher, like the 5th grade music teacher, he was a trombone player and he was a bass trombone player, and I thought that was really, really sick. And he played the fucking like Darth Vader like Star Wars theme on trombone. And
That's
I thought
amazing.
that it was so sick. And then he was also like, hey, if you play trombone, like that's the one instrument that like no bands ever have enough of. So if you like play trombone, like you're definitely going to get to be in jazz band. Like you're going to get to be in the better like ensembles and stuff, like especially if you're good at it. And I was like, oh shit. that sounds like my jam, like half the effort, twice the reward, like I'm all about that.
Absolutely. It's that's my favorite thing too, is I love when bands bring in brass.
There's a lot of bands that like do use like horns in their music and do it like really, really successfully. Like that Fire is Motion EP, like they have trumpet all over it and it sounds super, super good. And I don't know, I just think that it's like an important part about like putting out a record that like speaks to people is like being yourself. And at least for us, like for me, like playing trombone, and for Austin, like playing trumpet, that's just like, that's like what we're used to. And that like that's our background. And so when it comes like when you're like recording something or like writing a song and it's like, okay, I want to do something here that's not like our traditional like instrumentation, like what else can we do? Like at least for us, I think like, and maybe for a lot of other people too, like brass is like that next go-to where it's like, well, yeah, I was in marching band or I was in jazz band or whatever, and I know how to play this other instrument, and I think it can add a different color, which is like definitely how we went about it. And I don't know, I think it's like it's fun because like I also get to play like trombone in this band Just Friends, which is really, really fun too. So it's like I miss playing trombone sometimes because I used to do it so much for such a long time, for so many years, and it's like really, really cool to get to express like that part of yourself, because like for some reason, like at least for me personally, like playing guitar in a band and like playing trombone in a band is just like a totally different experience, and it's like nice to get to experience both sometimes.
So you released Best Buds in 2016. Would you want to walk us through the process of creating and releasing that album?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, like, all the music that we had made, like, before that were just, like, straight rip-offs of, like, modern baseball songs. But, I mean, like, we didn't know how to write. We didn't know what we wanted to sound like. And so after all of that, there was, like, we were, like, kind of embarrassed about, like, not having any real music, and like our goal was really just to like write something that was like totally ours. And, like, I don't know, the only goals we really had were to just like put out a record and go on a tour. And if we could do that, like we would have considered like being in this band a total success. And I think from there we just like, I don't know, we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing, but we also like didn't really know what we were doing. Like I had made records before, like with other bands that I was in high school, and like jazz bands and stuff, but never had I been in like the position that you're in when you make like this kind of music and like when you record this type of album where you like are in control of pretty much everything. And so like our engineer Ryan Ellery, who does like front of house for us on tour and like is in Just Friends and like records all like Just Friends music, all Grad Life's music, like everybody that we like know and fuck with pretty much, like Ryan has worked with them in some capacity. And we kind of like really let Ryan take the reins. Like we had like no money at all. So we had to like space out the recording a lot. I think we did one day at the studio where we recorded drums, and Austin like blazed through all the drum recordings in like 2 or 3 hours or something like that. And then we did all the bass on that same day. So we did drums and bass in the studio one day. And then we, like, after that, we were, like, super juiced and excited and, like, ready to keep recording. And we were like, hey, yo, Ryan, like, when's the next day that you're free? And he's like, a month and a half from now. So we, like, waited another month and a half. And then, like, we recorded the guitars and the vocals. And then we did those at Ryan's house, like, Ryan's dad's house, because he had, like, a setup in there. Borrowed a bunch of gear from people because I like my amp had been stolen, and so like I just had like this one like kind of shitty guitar, and like I borrowed my friend's like in retrospect like not a great amplifier and used that. And then I borrowed like Ryan's amp for like some other stuff, and we just like finished the album and got it mastered by James, who is like Ryan's like go-to mastering guy, who was in the UK, and booked a tour. Said we're gonna have an album out, and then put the album out, went on the tour, had a blast, and then went back to school. And around that time, like we realized people were like actually like listening to the album.
So were you guys recording it when you were still in school or after school?
Yeah, we just like did like I think we did the drums and bass like on a Saturday in February, and then ended up finishing the album, like doing guitars in like April or something, and then like finishing it all like in May, like right after school ended. Because Ryan lives in Lafayette, which is like, I don't know, maybe like a half-hour drive from where we were going to school, okay. And then like another half-hour drive from where I live currently. So like Ryan's really close by.
It's interesting because that Best Buds, to me, when I heard that record, I was like, this perfectly encompasses exactly how I just felt post-college and towards the end of college, especially in Girl Scout cookies, the end of it when you're like, I know it seems like I'm wasting my time away on things that still don't matter. I don't care who can shotgun faster. All I hear when I think of that was that feeling of being in school and having all these friendships that are centralized around like a culture of alcohol, drinking, and like getting high together. And then once you're out of school and all of that is peeled away, you sort of realize that those friendships don't really have any substance or ability to survive outside of that environment. And then it ends up leaving you feeling weirdly kind of alone. And I just love that record for that reason, because that's what it says to me. But
I became really disenchanted with a lot of the, like, I don't know, like, partying aspects, just because, I don't know, like, where we went to school, like, it's a very, obviously, like, academically centered school, and you have to be, like, I don't know, I guess you have to be, like, pretty smart to go there. I don't know how I got in. I got in because I was in the marching band. But, like, I was going to school with, like, a lot of, like valedictorians and like people that were just like really smart and did a lot of stuff, and because of that, like the party culture was also just like really insane. And I don't know, like personally, I feel like I got really swept up into it like really, really early, and I was super into like binge drinking and like getting super fucked up and like doing a bunch of drugs all the time. And I don't know, I just got over it really fast, and then a close friend of mine like died just from like partying essentially, and like from there, I don't know, I just became like kind of like everything that you said originally, but also like simultaneously like feeling that like your identity is also like somehow connected to like drinking and like smoking weed and stuff, and like understanding that like just like going out and like getting drunk all the time like isn't like that's not a personality. And I don't know, I was just like really over all of it and like trying to figure out like who I was outside of that aspect, and like moving out of the living situation that I was in, and like kind of changing my social situations. And like this band at least like was a really, really big escape for me for that. And it was like one of the big things that I think like kind of helped wake me up from the kind of days that I was in, and like convincing myself that like what I was doing and like where I was living was like okay, because you know we would be doing like this band, and we would have like bands like who would need places to crash, or people that were, you know, in town and wanted to hang out, and like I didn't feel comfortable like inviting them to where I lived, just because like the house was just like super crazy, like people doing gnarly shit all the time. And it was I don't know, the band and like doing music and like the relationships that I made with people through this experience that to me like felt like actually real and sustainable, like really helped me put things in this perspective. So like writing in that album and like recording it and having that to focus on was definitely like super cathartic for me. And we kind of like made that album like I think more for ourselves than we did anything else. Kind of
going off of that, I'm curious, how did the writing processes change or differ between the two albums?
I guess the first album was a bit more collaborative from like a songwriting standpoint, because like the formula for most of Best Buds was like Austin would like write a guitar riff or something, which would be super annoying because he plays drums. At the time when we started, like I pretty much like I started learning guitar to like be in this band, or like relearning guitar to be in this band. Like I'm still not a very good guitar player at all. I'm like learning, and it's like a fun challenge. And so like Austin would write all these parts and come up with this stuff that like my brain couldn't even like comprehend, and we would like usually like dumb it down into something that I could play consistently enough to like do a show, and then I would just like learn the chords like kind of around it, and then like turn that into a song. And that was like all of Best Buds pretty much. And then Puppy Love was a lot more. There's like a couple songs like that. Like I think Glamorous, like Austin wrote like that main riff for that song, but like most everything else on the album was like kind of just like me writing everything and then bringing the songs to the band and like everybody writing parts for it, and kind of finishing everything up. So yeah.
So the first track off the album, Puppy Love, Near Death Fail Comp, I feel like kind of sets the theme for the rest of the record. It starts off, I turn off my cell phone, I'm going off the grid, which is for me eating Cheetos in my bed, watching movies and drinking chocolate milk alone. I guess it's my antisocial tendencies. So kind of going off of that, how do you draw the line between going off the grid and doing that for self-care versus that becoming kind of like a comfortable pattern that ends up doing more harm than good?
Yeah, I don't know, at least for me, like the whole album, like Puppy Love in comparison to Best Buds, like I think like Best Buds was all out of me just like having these negative feelings and like wanting to express them some way and just like kind of almost like
things aren't quite as easy as they once were, 'cause I have a tendency to take on more than I can handle. You have a tendency to get mad when you're bored, and will you risk sanity plus all the other things you might not end up liking about me? Will you promise to love me more than
in the things that
I
I do have and be more appreciative of like all the cool things that are going on in my life and all the cool relationships that I do have, and like one of those things is like I personally have like a tendency to like isolate, and, like in certain ways. Like for me, it used to be like a tool for self-care because I was like super over socialized all the time, and I was like hanging out with people 24/7.
So I can still sleep at your house when it's cold and it's dark outside. I've never slept that well in my whole life.
And so like when you just like isolate yourself,
not have to try.
What used to be like a healthy coping mechanism turns into an unhealthy coping mechanism, which is like a bummer. When I finished college, it was definitely like I went from this like environment where I was like constantly surrounded by people like my age with like the same like similar interests and like tons of people that I knew within, you know, like 10 minutes walking distance of like my place. And just like all these things to like help stimulate people, and I don't know, just like all these crazy like different like just like I was like, just in the shit when you're in college. And I moved back in with like my dad for a year after I finished school to like work on the band a little bit, and just like because I wanted to, before like trying to get a job and stuff, I just wanted to be like, hey, like if we actually like go on tour a lot, like I'd like to be able to do that, and we have an opportunity to like go on a few tours, so I like want to do that before I start working. And I lived in my dad's for a year, and I went from being like in the shit to like totally not, like 45-minute drive away from my partner's house, you know, like a solid half hour, like an hour away from like where any of my friends live. So it was like definitely super isolating, and like that was definitely like a big problem that I would have, is it would take a lot of effort to like go out and do things with people, and to just like socialize and like be around people that weren't like my dad or like the people that like live in the neighborhood.
I mean, that is hard too, because that transition of being so autonomous in college and essentially running your own shit as much as you can, and then moving back in with a parent, you're just like, you feel like you just reverted back to your high school self.
All my friends moved away, like, you know, like Austin and I had been living together like our senior year of college, and like Gabe was in the Bay Area and he like was working, and so we were all really close to each other. And then like we graduated, and I was up here in the Bay Area, and Gabe and Austin were both down in LA, and Barb was in Fresno, so I like never even saw anybody in my band ever. Yeah. So it was just like I would just like look forward to tour a lot because being at home kind of sucked.
One of the things that we really love about you guys that's super refreshing is your ability to just kind of state plainly and exactly what you mean in your lyrics without burying it under like 1,000 different metaphors. But your song titles, on the other hand, are always mysteries to us. So where do those come from?
I don't know. I think song titles are like titles in general. I think people get caught up in a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And more like, I don't know, like even like there's never really been like that great of a band name You know what I mean? Or there's never even really been that great of like a song title. Like it's all subjective. And so I think like there's like this artist that I listen to. I forget their name now. But there's like this dude who like came to this summer camp that I went to as a kid and would like play songs and sell CDs. And he had like these super crazy long song titles on like all of his songs. And I remember like one of the other kids like being like, dude, why are like your song titles so long?
like Fall Out Boy 2.0.
Like why are they so long? And he was like, because they're my songs, man. Like
I love that.
It was like it's a like the song title is like anything else in the song. It's like a blank canvas that like you can use to like express yourself, and that always kind of stuck with me. And I like song titles that like kind of make me laugh.
Yeah.
And in a way, like every song title is like kind of related to like the song in a way, but in some weird convoluted like sense that only probably like makes sense to us.
Yeah.
In a sense, but it's like I just want song titles that like I would rather have song titles that spark intrigue,
totally,
and or controversy.
Yeah.
And like being that band where it's like I see your track listing and the first 5 songs are like Omen, and I'm just like, oh, I already know what your band is going to sound.
It's about, yeah. No, your song titles definitely, give the intrigue and keep it interesting.
Yeah, I actually saw on your audio tree session that you named the season 9 episode 2 to 3 based off of Grey's Anatomy, which is amazing.
That's like my favorite show.
Oh my god, I'm binging it right now, and
what season are you on?
I'm only on season 5 when like Izzy's discovering her situation.
Yo, you're in the prime of Grey's Anatomy.
Yes.
Right now, so enjoy it while you can. It slows down around season 9 and it's good until like season 13 again. So,
I was gonna say in particular, it made me laugh when I found out about it. I was like, this is amazing. But what about that song's subject matter made sense to be titled with kind of something that you were commenting as the shitty part of a show?
I don't know. It was just like, I remember like around the time that I was like finishing that song is when I experienced that episode. And like, I thought it was like crazy that a fucking TV show could just make me feel so fucking terrible. Just like that episode and like things happening to like fake characters could just like influence my mood so much. So I put that in the song because it's kind of about like being frustrated.
It's so true though. I get personally invested in TV characters, and then when the show ends or like I finish binging it, I'm like, but what am I, like my friend is gone.
Oh yeah, every time I finish a show I spiral into a deep depression for like a couple days.
Oh yeah, that's why you just like rapid fire start another one.
Yeah,
you just gotta keep going.
Gotta keep doing it.
I had to get a Hulu account because I was running out of content on Netflix.
Then you start moving over to Amazon Prime and it really gets airy.
Oh yeah.
Boy.
Do you have a favorite song title that you've come up with?
I'm not sure. Trying to think of it. Yeah, no, not really. I think they're all pretty horrible. Shred Cruise is pretty like funny because it like rolls off the tongue pretty well. I don't know. All our song titles are like pretty bad. Any, I think, rational like cool guy person could like make an argument about any song title name. Be like, this is fucking stupid. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be friends with people like that. Like, we try really hard not to like take ourselves seriously. I don't know.
No,
I think you lose a lot of the fun when you start like getting caught up in like little things like that. And like I said, like the thing that saved me with this band is like the relationships and the people that you meet. And there's like so many great people out there that just play in terrible, terrible bands with terrible band names and terrible merch and terrible songs. But like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Like, I still want to be friends with those people. I'm still going to be friends with those people because like they're amazing human beings and like, I'm going to be in their corner no matter what. So I think like that, like there's a lot of like things that we do in this band, I guess almost as like kind of like a defense mechanism against like people who would feel the need to like come in and I guess like be like super critical or like harsh about like whatever. Like, I don't know, so much of like mainstream culture is just like that. Like I feel like so many people like for so many different reasons just feel like they're pigeonholed into like behaving a certain way when they're in public or like not being able to just like have a good time, like have their space invaded by like people who don't give a shit. And it's like, I want our shows and or like our music to be a place where people can just like kind of like be themselves and just like have a good time and like focus on a common goal that's like maybe positive. For me, it'd be almost like disrespectful. Like at this point, like we've just been like really, really privileged. You know, like I said, like the whole point of like being in this band was just to like have fun and like to make music with our friends. And that has always been like kind of, I don't know, the number one goal. But like now there's like, I don't know, like we can play larger venues and have a lot of people come see us at one time and like play these like bigger festivals and stuff, which is, I feel like if we didn't do those things and like try to do them to the best of our ability, like it would almost be like kind of disrespectful to like all the bands that have like come before us and all the people that are like constantly working and like striving to try and get to the point where, cause I can name a million bands off the top of my head that deserve to be like a million times bigger than they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just, I don't know, it wouldn't seem right to me to like not do it because it wasn't what we like expected or like it wasn't what we wanted or like whatever. I think that's just like kind of bullshit. So we can just kind of just like trudge forward like for as long as this thing goes and just like try to be ourselves and like try to maintain like our agency throughout it. And hopefully we like can't go wrong if we just like prioritize like having fun and like maintaining our relationship with each other as friends. Like,
so lastly, the choice to call the album Puppy Love was interesting because the album itself does hone in a lot on isolation and kind of what feels like an inability to connect with people in a healthy and rewarding way.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the album, there's a little bit of a shift where you first mentioned Puppy Love and Pickle Bart, and then with the last song, Now This Is Pod Racing, it sort of feels like you are reaching out a little bit. And so I'm curious, does the idea of puppy love reference that sort of love that you can give to someone else and that you can let them give to you? Or is it more the way that you learn to love yourself after you can kind of pull yourself out of this dark hole?
I guess in a way it's both, because for me, I don't know, like specifically like the words puppy love to me were meant to kind of reflect like this idea that in at least my life and my environment and some things that I've seen, like I feel like either people like our age group or just like people in the social political climate that we're in like right now, I think we have like a tendency to like devalue like a lot of good things that happen for like whatever reason. Like I think a lot of that, like it can come from, you know, like guilt of privilege or come from, you know, it can stem from anything, but there's, you know, always these constant arguments of like, okay, like, yeah, this good thing happened, but like, it's not good enough because like shit is so fucked that like, this is just such a one small step towards decency, you know? Yeah. And I think like people have a tendency to do that with relationships too. Like whenever, you know, like you make new friends or you meet new people and like you start forming new relationships, like whether it be like platonic or romantic or like whatever, I think like we have a tendency to like kind of devalue a lot of the positive experiences and like positive gains that we get out of it just because it's like, oh, I don't know if this is like serious or like I don't know if this person's going to be like a really close friend or I don't know if I'm going to like date this person for a long time or like, you know, this is just like, you know, like dumb fun or whatever, like it doesn't mean anything. And like we do that to people, like we do that to experiences. And I'm just trying to like, with the concept of like, I don't know, like puppy love. But with that for me, it was sort of like trying to remind myself like, hey, like these things are good things. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be long term for it to be good. And it doesn't have to be the biggest and best solution to be positive. And like, I'm not out here, like we're not out here like claiming to like be curing any diseases. Like we're not ending any social injustices, like single-handedly, you know what I mean? Like we're definitely not the most progressive people on the planet. We're not the most like politically active band in the world, but like we're trying. And I think that like if you just like you try to be a good person, if you try to do good things, if you try in your relationships, then like that should be a good thing, and you should be able to acknowledge that those things are good. And I don't know, I just like trying to remind myself that like, so what if it's like quote unquote like puppy love? So what if it's not like the deepest thing in the world or the most like, you know, real thing in the world? Like it's still like, if you're constantly searching for a deeper connection in things, you're constantly searching for like a bigger and better solution, and like not allowing yourself to, I don't know, like receive like the small little positive like bits that you can get. I think that'll wear you down over time.
Yeah.
And I think that that's worn me down over time. So
it's true. It's an ability to remind yourself that even tiny changes to yourself and the people around you are still very important, and detrimental things to make the world on a whole a better place.
Yeah, and also simultaneously that you do still have to prioritize the relationships in your life that you know are long-term, that you know are super important. You do have to remember that like there are people that are going to be there for you no matter what, and you have to nurture those relationships just as much too, you know.
All right, so now we have a rapid fire round. We just ask you 10 questions, but take as long as you need.
Yeah, it doesn't actually have to be rapid. So what song or band have you had on repeat this week?
Okay, so there's this band from New Zealand called the Beths. Have you heard of them?
No.
Okay, so they had like this ballin' ass album that came out this year. Like they have like a ton of great PR like on it, like fucking Rolling Stone like wrote about it. The title track like feature Me Hates Me like in particular is just amazing. But like every song on that album is like awesome. So you should check it out. I've been listening to that, and then like the new Paramore album I've been listening to.
So good.
Those first 3 tracks with like the disco beat, and I don't know, I've just been bumping that in my car a lot while I drive. Those 2 albums mostly.
What's a go-to song that you listen to when you find yourself in a state of either internal or external chaos?
Chaos, like good chaos or bad chaos? You know what I mean?
Could be either.
If it's good chaos, then it's like probably like some old school hip hop, like probably like Wu-Tang. Like if I'm just like in a rowdy mood, like I really like listening to Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if I'm like in a bad mood, I don't know, if I'm trying to wallow like Julia Baker all day.
Oh,
but
yeah,
if I'm trying to
so
like,
good.
I don't know, if I'm trying to like make the music make me feel better, like I'll listen to Hop Along.
What's the one song you wish you wrote?
Damn, there's so many out there. But we did a split with Prince Daddy and Pictures of Vernon a couple of years ago, and like the first song, Thrashville 1, I think it is. Yeah, that song, I wish I wrote that song. That song is so fucking good. That fucking riff at the end is like the heaviest thing ever. Such a good song.
If you were a Grey's Anatomy character, who would you be?
Oh, man. Honestly, I was probably George. I'm probably, like, dead already.
O'Malley.
So, if you could score a soundtrack to a book, which book would you choose?
Ooh. Damn, that's good. I mean, I haven't read a good nonfiction book in a long-ass time. Damn, I don't know if he's made a movie for it already, but The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan is like my favorite book. It's not like a story or anything, but I would make a soundtrack to that. It could be all like Seinfeld funk shit.
Who's your dream collaboration?
Man, if we're going for like clout, fucking Post Malone would be so sick. In more realness, like I guess, I don't know. Like Joe Reiner, the guitar player for Hop Along, been in a bunch of like amazing bands like Algernon and just like all these like one of the most like influential like guitar players of like this decade, at least for like the type of music that we play, I think. I don't know if we got to work with them in some kind of capacity, whether that be like engineering or like producing or something. Like that's just a like me being like a little high schooler like fanning out again and like wanting to like learn something from someone super talented, you know. That would probably be like my dream, like sort of like, oh shit, like maybe I can learn a thing or two here.
If you were a music festival, which music festival would you be?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really do music festivals as a patron. So much. I've only been to maybe like 3, and 2 of them were like very DIY. So I guess I would be Riot Fest because that's the only one I've been to, and at least our experience was really, really great. Really, 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 really fun. Like they treat the artists like super, super well. The staff is like super professional. Or, I don't know, the sound was amazing. So, from my point of view, it was an amazing festival to play, and I really like that festival, so I would want to be a festival that people like playing, want to play, so I guess that'd be Riot Fest.
What's your favorite show that you've played?
That's really tough, honestly. Because, like, I don't know, in a way, I think, like, every show is, like, pretty special in its own ways. I know that, like, I, more than other people in our band, like, I have a tendency to get, like, I don't know, like, thrown off or, like, distracted by, like, shit happening in the crowd. Like, I don't know, like, some, like, technical difficulties or, like, people being, like, disrespectful in the audience or whatever, like, gets to me, like, a lot faster than anybody else. But in general, I think most shows are, like, pretty like noteworthy in their own ways, because it's like it's always a different group of people. Like it's much easier to count the shows that like aren't amazing and like aren't super fun than it is to count the ones that like are, just because like in general, at least for like the like past couple years for us, like there's always at least like, I don't know, at least like my bare minimum was like there's 10 or 15 people there that like really care about your band. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, like, we've been lucky enough to play for, you know, like 900, like 1,100, like maybe 1,500 people, like at the most, like at one time, like, you know, like playing Riot Fest in front of like 1,500 people. Like that's pretty crazy, and it's like a pretty surreal experience, but it's like, it's also not necessarily more fun than like playing a basement show for like 50 of your friends, like in your hometown, like when you get back from like your first tour, you know, like that's, like each show is special in its own way, because I think like every person, at least like for our shows, like every band and every person like brings their own kind of energy and their own kind of vibe to the experience, and like in a way that forces the band, like us and like the bands that we're touring with, to like change it up a little bit. Like you can't just like get on stage and like do the exact same thing every single day, because like people aren't going to react to it the same way, and that's what like kind of makes it fun, and that's what like keeps it cool. So they're all pretty sick in their own respect.
And lastly, if you were a Girl Scout cookie, which one would you be?
Oh, Samoa's, no question.
Samoa's are really good.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
Speaking of touring, would you want to tell us a little bit about your upcoming tour?
We're going on tour in March, so you should come see us.
Hell yeah, we'll see you in Nashville.
It'll be fun. I'm really excited. I'm really stoked about the bands that we're touring with.
Who are you touring with?
So we're doing the whole thing with this band called Mover Shaker from Michigan.
Okay.
They're amazing. They're some of my favorite people in the world. I think their record is going to blow people's minds. We're actually bringing them out here to California to get them to record with Ryan. And yeah, so that's really exciting. And so they're doing the whole tour with us, and they're really, really cool people. I'm really stoked to have them as like the direct support, because I think they deserve to be playing in front of a lot more people. And then we're doing some dates with Pool Kids, which is this band from Florida that's really, really awesome. They put out an amazing record this year that you should totally check out if you haven't already. They're super, super cool. We played with them in Orlando on the last tour, and they just blew us away. So we're like, we got to play some shows with them.
Nice.
We're doing some shows with King of Heck, which is Joel, our TM and like merch person. It's his band. So playing some shows with them, which is exciting. I'm really, really stoked because I really like that band a lot. And then we're doing some shows with Prince Daddy and the Hyena, which is really, really sick. Those are some old friends of ours. It's gonna be like our third time touring with them or something like that.
Oh, that's fun.
I love those dudes so much. They're really, really awesome people. And then we're doing some dates with Sincere Engineer too. Yeah, they're really, really good. Really, really cool. So really, really stoked to be playing with all those people. And then there's going to be like locals on a lot of those shows too.
I definitely can't wait to hear the new record live.
Yeah, we're stoked to see you in Nash.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're really having fun playing the new songs, and hopefully we'll be playing some new songs.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, this has been awesome. We can't wait to see you guys in March.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
So what'll it take for you to see things the way that I do? Just for a minute, so I can be brutally honest with you about everything I'm still so afraid of. Being there is hard when things eventually fall apart.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed our interview. And if you did like what you heard,
be sure to follow us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that good
the whole shebang.
stuff, yeah. And be sure to follow Mom Jeans.
And if you're in the Nashville area, they will be playing at the End on Saturday, March 23rd. Definitely try to score tickets if you still can. I'm pretty sure it's sold out. Let's see what you guys can do.
You can make it work.